Chapter 1953. Just leave it to me. Lisa said with a smile. Almost all of them were professional makeup artists working with the production team from all over the country. Lisa was an overseas Chinese and was very fluent in Chinese. When she learned that the female lead was a Chinese actress, she volunteered to be Ningxi's exclusive makeup artist. The table was full of cosmetics, but Lisa didn't start. Lisa, is there any problem? Ningxi was a little confused. There was a hint of amazement in Lisa's eyes. Miss Ningxi, your skin color is so good. I've been in the industry for 17 years, but I've never seen skin like yours. Lisa exclaimed. The light makeup on Ningxi's face was already perfect. She didn't need to do anything else. Besides, the makeup of the characters in the movie was not heavy, which was exactly what she needed. Thank you for your compliment. Ningxi said modestly. Miss Ningxi, you don't need makeup at all. Lisa was about to show off her skills, but she reluctantly put the cosmetics on the table and only did some simple makeup. Not far away, the makeup artists who were doing makeup for the other actors couldn't help but look at Ningxi. I don't think there's anything good about her skin. Is there something wrong with her eyes? No matter how good her skin is, it's not as good as white skin. The two black girls glanced at Ningxi and said disdainfully. Ignore them. They are the kind of people who are being discriminated against, but they still mock others for seeking a sense of existence. Lisa winked at Ningxi and comforted her. Ningxi laughed it off and paid no attention to it. Lisa had seen too many similar situations. Not only Chinese actors, but also many big names from other countries. Once they came to Hollywood, they would definitely be targeted. Of course, a situation like Ningxi snatching the role of movie queen Lillian and becoming the female lead had never happened before. It was unimaginable. Lisa had even heard the crew complaining about it before. It seemed that Ningxi becoming the female lead was not originally decided by the crew, but for some reason, the crew decided to replace her. Lillian, you are here. Suddenly, the two black girls looked in front of them with a hint of schadenfreude in their eyes. A white girl walked into the dressing room with her assistant. When Lillian found out that she had been replaced, she was furious, especially when she found out that it was an actor from Hua Nation. She even caused a scene on the set. When he saw Ningxi from the corner of his eyes flashed with a trace of darkness as he scanned Ningxi's body. Lillian, take a seat. One of the black girls quickly stood up and politely offered her seat to Lillian. After Lillian sat down, the assistant glanced at Ningxi and frowned. Where did this little actress come from? Can anyone enter the dressing room of the crew? This is Miss Ningxi, the leading actress of this play. Lisa said unhurriedly. Ningxi? Who is it? I've never heard of him. Where did he come from? Have any of you heard of him? Lillian's assistant looked around. No, what Ningxi? I've never heard of her before. Don't tell me she got her position as the female lead by sleeping with a senior member of the crew? I know the Chinese community is filthy. The two black girls sneered. You guys, don't go too far. Didn't your parents educate you well? Lisa stared at the two black girls and scolded them with a warning tone. Chapter 1954. Although this kind of low-level trick was completely insignificant to Ningxi, Ningxi still cast a grateful look at Lisa's protection. Lisa, what does this have to do with you? The two black girls frowned. The makeup artist in front of them was very famous in the industry and was said to be related to Emperor. The black girls didn't dare to be too aggressive and just complained in a low voice. Lillian heard this and gave her assistant a look. The assistant immediately shut up. Seeing that Lillian didn't say anything, the two black girls naturally didn't say anything else. Lisa looked at Lillian's attitude and couldn't help but be surprised. Lillian wasn't someone who was easy to get along with. She thought that Lillian would definitely give Ningxi a hard time. She didn't expect that Lillian would choose to keep the peace. Lisa subconsciously looked at Ningxi. This Chinese girl, if she could get the role of the female lead, her background must not be simple, right? Even Lillian was afraid of her. Not long after, Lillian received a call from her manager and got up to leave. The other actors rehearsed and tried out for their scenes. They only left the set when it was close to noon. Ningxi was just about to return to her apartment when her phone rang. Staring at the phone screen, Ningxi was shocked and almost threw her phone away in excitement. Han Xiao. Fuck. The Almighty. After seeing the caller ID, Ningxi quickly picked up the phone. Hello? The Almighty? Are you looking for me? KFC near J Street, come over. Before Ningxi could continue, she heard the busy tone. What the hell? The first thing he said was KFC. Ningxi's heart was filled with thousands of thoughts. Ningxi had no choice but to go. Let alone KFC. Even if it was a mountain of knives or a sea of fire, she had to go. Inside the restaurant, Ningxi immediately saw Han Xiao sitting in the corner. Han Xiao was wearing a loose white shirt and looked very casual, like a harmless boy next door. Although he looked good on the eyes, the way he ate was a bit glaring. He crossed his legs, holding a fried chicken drumstick in his left hand and a beef roll in his right. He lowered his head and drank his milk tea. Ningxi sat next to Han Xiao for a while. This guy didn't even notice her presence. Is it delicious? Ningxi originally didn't want to disturb Han Xiao, and was prepared to wait for him to finish his meal. But in the end, this glutton ordered another luxurious family bucket. He would probably have to wait until the end of time for him to finish eating. When did you arrive? Han Xiao turned his head and looked at Ningxi, who had arrived a long time ago. It's been 10 minutes. Ningxi, who was completely ignored, said while twitching her mouth. Han Xiao nodded and said, Oh, go get the family bucket for me, and pay for me while you're at it. I'll take your grandma. Ningxi wished she could slap the foodie in front of her. He and Han Xiao hadn't been in contact for more than a year, but the first thing this guy said when he saw her was actually if he wanted her to bring him the family bucket. The most outrageous thing was that he had to pay him. She had raced over here as fast as she could. She was so nervous that she thought something big had happened. Forget it. On account of the debt of saving my life. After eating, Han Xiao drank the milk tea in satisfaction. Long time no see. How have you been? Han Xiao finally returned to normal after putting down the milk tea. If you hadn't called me, I would have been better, Ningxi said honestly. She was almost scared to death. If I hadn't called you, I wouldn't have felt good, Han Xiao said. Why? Ningxi was confused. Chapter 1955. I didn't have enough money. Han Xiao thought about it, and said honestly, Ningxi, it seems that your body has almost recovered. Han Xiao looked Ningxi up and down. Recovered? Didn't you become a vegetable? I thought I wouldn't see you again. Han Xiao wiped the oil off his mouth. It's all thanks to you. Ningxi was helpless. Although this guy said that, his expression was obviously not sincere at all. Oh right. You treated me to a meal just now, so I have to give you something. There are a few people following you. Han Xiao stared at Ningxi and smiled. Someone is following me? Ningxi was surprised. If Han Xiao didn't say it, she wouldn't have noticed. They entered the store with you just now. Their skills are not bad. With your current body condition, killing you is as easy as killing a chicken, Han Xiao said. You're a chicken, your whole family is a chicken. Although in the eyes of the Almighty, she was indeed a chicken. No matter what, you can still be considered a hot superstar. When you go out and walk around, you only change your clothes and don't even have a few bodyguards by your side. Han Xiao shook his head. Bodyguards? Why do I need bodyguards when you're here, big brother Han Xiao? Ningxi stared at Han Xiao and said with a meaningful smile. She came to see Han Xiao, so how could she bring other people with her? What if he had some urgent or secret matter? Who knew she was thinking too much? It's useless even if you call me daddy. I'm full and want to sleep. Han Xiao yawned. I'm the one who takes care of everything you eat, but you don't recognize me after eating. At this moment, Ningxi hoped that an expert would appear and beat Han Xiao up. It would be best if he could spit out all the luxurious family bucket he just ate. However, this was obviously impossible. Ningxi couldn't help but look around, wondering who was following her and what was their purpose. Although Ningxi didn't notice anything, since Han Xiao said it, there couldn't be anything wrong. Give me another family bucket. Han Xiao suddenly shouted. Ningxi. Damn you, Han Xiao. Go get it and pay. Pay your ass. Ningxi swore that if the man in front of her wasn't a monster, she would definitely fight with him. Ningxi rolled her eyes and said with a smile, I can pay, but you have to help me deal with the people who are following me. You think you can get rid of me with just a family bucket? Han Xiao was taken aback. He clearly felt that he had suffered a loss. How about two? I've already paid for one for you, Ningxi argued. All right. Han Xiao pondered for a moment, and finally made a difficult decision. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, Han Xiao took the last piece of fried chicken leg in the family bucket, and left the KFC together with Ningxi. Seeing Ningxi leave, the two men wearing sunglasses also stood up at the same time and strode away. Ningxi drove to the outskirts of the city. An off-road vehicle blocked Ningxi's car. Two middle-aged men walked down from the off-road vehicle. Ningxi, come with us. One of the chubby middle-aged men quickly stepped forward and grabbed Ningxi's wrist. In the blink of an eye, Ningxi raised her right arm and pushed the slightly plump man to stumble. Ningxi, don't court death. I'll give you one more chance. Come with us or else. The chubby man's eyes glinted coldly. Hearing the man's words, Ningxi stood where she was and the corners of her mouth curled up into a devilish smile. Chapter 1956. These two men were martial artists, and they were armed with guns. However, Ningxi had nothing to fear. On the left side of the car, there was a monster more terrifying than a cannonball. At this moment, Han Xiao was sitting in the passenger seat, gnawing on the remaining fried chicken leg. You two men bully a little girl. Isn't it inappropriate? Han Xiao looked at the two men outside the car. Hearing this, the short and thin man stepped forward, closed the door of the passenger seat, and stared at Han Xiao coldly. Eat your food, don't court death. The order they received was to take Ningxi back, and if she didn't cooperate, they would directly deal with her. As for the others, they didn't consider it. After eating the chicken leg, Han Xiao wiped the grease from the corner of his mouth. It tastes good, do you want some? Han Xiao rolled down the window and looked at the short and thin man beside him. What do you want to eat? The short and thin man hadn't come back to his senses, and asked subconsciously. I'll treat you to a chicken leg. After saying that, Han Xiao threw the chicken bone in his hand, faintly making a piercing sound. The chicken bone was accurately thrown into the thin man's mouth. Ah! The foreign object was stuck in the short and thin man's throat. After 2 breaths, the short and thin man's face turned ashen, his eyes bloodshot, and he let out a woo-woo sound. Is it so delicious? Looking at the short and thin man's painful appearance, Han Xiao's eyes revealed a cruel look. A moment later, with a plop, the thin man fell heavily to the ground, his body twitching. You've court death. This scene made the slightly fat man's expression change, and he immediately took out a pistol from his waist and aimed it at Han Xiao. Swish. Han Xiao didn't move, but with a flash of white light, Han Xiao appeared next to the slightly fat man, and his slender fingers casually placed on the gun. The slightly fat man instinctively wanted to pull the trigger. The slightly fat man's pupils suddenly shrank. The trigger had already been blocked by the young man's fingers, and he couldn't fire at all. What kind of junk is this? Let me have a look. In a flash, Han Xiao took the gun from the slightly fat man's hand. Don't. Seeing the black muzzle pointing at him, the chubby man's body trembled, his face full of fear. The two of them were well-trained assassins, but this extremely young sissy in front of them contained a terrifying power that surpassed the scope of human understanding. There was almost no way for him to retaliate. While the evil-looking man was joking, the situation had completely reversed. How do I use this stupid thing? It's bang. Before Han Xiao could finish his words, a strange sound came from the muzzle of the gun, and the bullet pierced through the head of the slightly plump man. Ouch. I'm sorry, my hands are greasy. I made a mistake. Han Xiao stared at the chubby man lying on the ground, and said with a smile. Looking at Han Xiao's expression, even Ningxi couldn't help but shiver. It was not an exaggeration to say that this person was a monster. As a friend, he would give you a strong sense of security. But if it was an enemy, it was simply unimaginable. Han Xiao, damn you. Why did you kill them all? When Ningxi came back to her senses, the two men wearing sunglasses had already been killed by Han Xiao. It happened so fast that Ningxi had no time to stop it. My grandpa? What does this have to do with my grandpa? I helped you kill them, not my grandpa. Han Xiao casually threw the gun to the side. You. Ningxi almost spat out a mouthful of blood on Han Xiao's face. What kind of understanding did this pervert have? The language teacher died a little too early. Tonight's explosive update. Wait a moment, there's still more to come. Chapter 1957. Originally, Ningxi had wanted to find out who the mastermind was from the two dead men. But this Han Xiao, he didn't even blink when he killed them, made a mistake, and even had oil on his hands. Who was he trying to fool? Did this guy know something? These two men, each treat me to a family bucket. 2 buckets for 2 people. That should be about the same, Han Xiao said. Ningxi couldn't help but pity the 2 killers. In Han Xiao's eyes, their lives were only worth a family bucket. And it wasn't even a luxurious family bucket. Please, please, please. I'll treat you to 200 buckets. I'll watch you finish them. Ningxi felt a little helpless. This Han Xiao was sometimes so perverted that it was terrifying. And sometimes he was like a child who couldn't grow up. Well, you said it, but I'm not free tonight. I have a date with a beauty. I'll go look for you. Han Xiao turned around and waved. Before Ningxi could say anything, he had already left. A beauty has a date. Ningxi couldn't help but roll her eyes. She had never seen Han Xiao with a woman. Not to mention a woman, she hadn't seen a man either. He didn't even know how to find a believable excuse. Ningxi returned to the little garden house in Deer Town. She didn't see Lu Tingxiao, but Lu Jingli ran over. This guy seemed to be coming less and less recently. Apparently he had eaten too much dog food. Why are you here? Are you hungry? Ningxi opened the door for Lu Jingli and let him in. Then she raised her eyebrows and asked. Lu Jingli's face was bitter. Sister-in-law, you're too humble. This little bit of food in my stomach is enough for me to last until the next life. Sister-in-law, I'm looking for you because I heard from my brother that you've been cast as the female lead in The Killer. Lu Jingli asked excitedly. Ningxi nodded. Yes, where's your brother? Lu Jingli walked around Ningxi. He's at the company. He has something to take care of these few days. Ningxi wanted to call Lu Tingxiao, but when she heard Lu Jingli say that Lu Tingxiao was busy, she gave up on the idea. Sister-in-law, I know that a moment apart feels like 3 years, but can you tell me clearly first? Is what my brother said true or false? The movie Killer was a Hollywood classic that swept all the major awards. Although you're considered a big shot in China, you're nothing when you're in Hollywood. Maybe they wanted you to play a supporting role in China's market. That's still possible. But to let you be the female lead, and it's even a super classic that everyone looks forward to, that's too illogical. Lu Jingli was definitely no stranger to the movie The Killer. It could even be said that as long as one was in the entertainment industry, which one of them had not watched The Killer? Even after so many years, some of the most popular movies in the country had many scenes that paid homage to The Killer. Nowadays, The Killer was a new film, and it had caused a sensation in the entire domestic entertainment industry. It was very difficult for many popular artists to get a small role. I'm not lying. It's true, Ningxi said helplessly. Lu Jingli still couldn't believe it when Ningxi said it herself. After the remake of an old film, Hitman, the cast could be said to be unprecedentedly strong, which was extremely rare. The male lead was played by the world-renowned Steve Will, who was known as King Wei, a Hollywood Best Actor level character. And the original female lead Lillian was one of the biggest female stars in Hollywood. She should be about the same age as Ningxi, but in Hollywood, she was already a queen at such a young age, and had even won the title of Female Artist of the Year. She had even starred with Wei Di in a movie called Lo's Lost Town, and it had received a lot of good reviews. Chapter 1958. Although Ningxi was famous, it was only in China. In Hollywood, it was easy for an artist like Ningxi to get a supporting role. A Chinese artist taking on the role of the female lead in Hollywood was something that had never happened before. The filming team was top-notch, and even some insignificant supporting roles were famous in Hollywood. Most importantly, the producer this time was the mysterious Juz. Just look at the current situation in China. Many big-name agents used all means to get a small role for their artists, even if it was a cannon fodder role. Unfortunately, Almost no one had ever succeeded. Although Lu Jingli was very confident in Ningxi's strength, this matter did not make sense no matter how he looked at it. Therefore, just in case, he was worried and asked a few more questions. Sister-in-law, have you ever seen a Chinese actress play the leading role in an ordinary Hollywood movie, let alone a remake of a super classic like The Assassin? There are only a few important supporting roles. Almost none. How old is Juz? Lu Jingli rolled his eyes and asked. He did not want to be too stiff in changing the topic. Ningxi knew what Lu Jingli was thinking and said, he is at least 80 years old. Don't let your imagination run wild. Mr. Juz is a very good person. Could it be that the old man is out of his mind? Lu Jingli muttered. Ningxi suddenly narrowed her eyes. I have to say this time, the assassin is really good. They are not rigidly fixed and dare to try new things. They are lucky to find a super artist like my sister-in-law. I am a little envious. Lu Jingli immediately gave a thumbs up and quickly changed his words. Don't flatter me. Ningxi stuffed a freshly peeled apple into Lu Jingli's mouth. Looking at the shining fruit knife in Ningxi's hand, Lu Jingli smiled flatteringly. Sister-in-law, what are you talking about? How can I flatter someone? All I flatter is a dragon's flatter. Ahaha. Lu Jingli changed the topic. Sister-in-law, I remember there is a male assassin in this movie. I think he is suitable for me. Ningxi also had a deep memory of this role. The male assassin in the old version was also an important role, starring the famous Hollywood comedian Marlowe. Ningxi still remembered some of the classic cross-dressing scenes. Forget it. Young Master Lu is so handsome. How can he act like this? Don't ruin the dreams of thousands of girls. Ningxi rolled her eyes at Lu Jingli. Sister-in-law is so considerate. Lu Jingli was touched. At this moment, there was the sound of the door opening. Lu Tingxiao opened the door and put away the key. He was carrying a lot of fresh fruits, vegetables, and meat in his hands. Brother, has the matter at the company been resolved? Lu Jingli hurriedly ran over to ask. Walking into the kitchen and washing his hands, Lu Tingxiao returned to the living room and simply said, It's fine. That's good, that's good. I won't disturb you anymore. I'm leaving. Lu Jingli patted his butt and prepared to leave. He didn't want to be stuffed with dog food. Since you're already here, let's eat here tonight. Ningxi said. Well, about that. Between the fear of dog food and the temptation of delicacies, Lu Jingli finally chose to bow to the delicacies. Sister-in-law still cares about me. Let's make a happy decision. Lu Jingli immediately retreated and sat on the sofa to watch a movie. This was a rare opportunity. Chapter 1959. Sigh. In order to create more time for the two of them, the whole family had been mobilized. Even Xiaobao had left Mama's embrace for his sister and went to the old mansion to accompany his grandparents. He naturally couldn't come here to freeload. No one could understand the joy and sorrow of a single dog. Sweetheart, you look so handsome when you cook. Ningxi couldn't help but praise Lu Tingxiao when she saw him focused on cooking. Lu Tingxiao raised his eyebrows. Only handsome when you cook? Both handsome, both handsome. Ningxi's eyes sparkled. Lu Tingxiao's lips curved up, and he kissed the girl's cheek gently. You're too oily. Go out first. Give me half an hour. Ningxi wanted to stay with Lu Tingxiao, but she was worried that she wouldn't be able to resist swallowing him before eating, so she obediently left the kitchen. After dinner, Lu Jingli wanted to go back, but it was too late, so Lu Tingxiao asked him to stay. Brother, sister-in-law, will I disturb you if I stay here? Lu Jingli chuckled. Then you can go back now, Lu Tingxiao said lightly. Oh, I drank a bit. I'm a bit sleepy. I'm going to bed. Bye. Lu Jingli hurried into the bedroom, not giving Lu Tingxiao a chance to drive him away. Just at this moment, a low and deep roar sounded out from an unknown corner, shocking everyone's hearts. Hearing that, Lu Tingxiao was stunned and subconsciously looked out of the window. Wild animal? Ningxi was puzzled. Lu Tingxiao frowned. Tiger. Tiger. Ningxi was in disbelief. Deer Town hadn't been developed yet, but how could there be a tiger? This roar, it's not from a tiger in a zoo, Lu Tingxiao said. The roar just now was strong and powerful. From the decibel level, it should have come from 10 kilometers away. Damn. Lu Jingli stumbled out of the bedroom in a pair of floral shorts. His face was full of confusion. What just happened? Were you guys watching Animal World? Probably a wild animal escaped from the zoo, Ningxi explained. Huh? Lu Jingli was shocked. Sister-in-law, you must be joking. It's so remote around here. How can there be a zoo? There isn't a zoo in town? There aren't any wild animals nearby either. They are all fawns and rabbits. Do wild beasts that escaped from the zoo only wander around the zoo? Ningxi asked. This, Lu Jingli was speechless. Brother. Sister-in-law, I thought about it. I still have something to do today. Well, I'll be leaving first. Lu Jingli immediately said. When he was a child, he went to visit a relative's house and was chased by a tiger for a few streets, so he was a little traumatized by tigers. Don't worry. Let's go. Lu Tingxiao got up and took Ningxi upstairs. Fuck. Brother, don't scare me. Lu Jingli looked out of the window. It was late at night, and visibility was extremely low. So what if it's a tiger? I'll kill it and eat its meat as soon as it sees me. Lu Jingli muttered. After thinking for a while, he finally returned to his bedroom. In a certain corner of Deer Town, a white tiger about twice the size of an ordinary tiger was advancing forward. If someone saw this scene, they would definitely be shocked. A young man was lying on the back of the white tiger. He seemed to be in a semi-conscious state. About half an hour later, the white tiger carried the young man to Ningxi's garden house. Roar! A low roar sounded. It was as if the earth was splitting and the mountains were collapsing. It was shocking. Chapter 1960. Oh my God! Lu Jingli had just fallen asleep when he heard a terrifying tiger roar. He jumped out of bed in fright, and the huge shadow outside the window shrouded him. Lu Jingli looked at the huge white tiger outside the window, and his eyes were filled with cold light. He was instantly stunned. Outside the door, White Tiger looked at the bewildered Lu Jingli through the window and growled again. Brother! Sister-in-law! What the hell? No, it's a tiger, a live tiger. Lu Jingli didn't even have time to put on his pants. He ran out of the bedroom at the speed of a 100-meter sprint and rushed to the second floor. The tiger roar outside the window was like the collapse of a huge mountain. It was frightening and instinctive. It was a sense of fear that came from the food chain. Brother, sister-in-law, something bad has happened. Lu Jingli ran to the second floor and kept shouting. Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi had already walked out of the room. The two tiger roars were too shocking. Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi hadn't fallen asleep, so they heard it more clearly. It was indeed a tiger roar. It should be nearby. Is it really a tiger that escaped from the zoo? Ningxi looked puzzled. It's nearby, sister-in-law, just outside my window. Lu Jingli was still in shock. He opened his eyes in a daze and saw a huge white tiger outside the window. He was almost scared out of his wits. Let's go and have a look, Lu Tingxiao said. Brother, go and have a look. It's a tiger. Do you think it's a monkey? Don't forget that I was almost killed by a tiger when I was a child. Lu Jingli grabbed Lu Tingxiao like an octopus. Lu Tingxiao glanced at Lu Jingli. Get off me. Oh, Lu Jingli felt wronged. Ningxi followed Lu Tingxiao, and the three of them walked to the guest room where Lu Jingli was. The window was still open and the moonlight was dim. Through the moonlight, a huge white tiger appeared. White tiger, Lu Tingxiao frowned. How could there be a native white tiger in the capital? Ghost. Suddenly, Lu Jingli rubbed his eyes and looked at the back of the white tiger. He immediately looked up and down. This was really a ghost. Hearing this, Ningxi's body shook. It was already extremely strange for a white tiger to appear outside their own house in the middle of the night. And now this word suddenly came out of Lu Jingli's mouth. Ningxi was not afraid of anything, but she was afraid of ghosts. It's a human. Lu Tingxiao quickly comforted the girl beside him. He followed Lu Jingli's gaze and saw a figure on the back of the white tiger. Brother, the white tiger is carrying a person? Are you kidding me? It's more likely to be carrying a ghost. Lu Jingli curled his lips. What is it? Ningxi frowned. Lu Tingxiao took a few steps forward and looked carefully. Han Xiao, Lu Tingxiao said. What the hell? Ningxi thought she heard wrong. What did her sweetheart just say? Han Xiao, Lu Tingxiao repeated. Hearing Lu Tingxiao's words, Ningxi immediately walked forward. Fuck. When Ningxi saw the young man on the back of the white tiger, she was completely stunned and her mind went blank. Now Han Xiao was in a coma, and there were obvious wounds on his body. No way. He is Han Xiao, the super martial arts master. Lu Jingli opened his mouth in astonishment. Every man had a dream in the martial arts world. It could be in a game of swords and sabers, or in a book, or in reality. When Lu Jingli learned of Han Xiao's existence, he also wanted to see the true face of this martial arts master. Chapter 1961. However, Lu Jingli didn't expect Han Xiao to appear in such a manner the first time he saw him, riding on the back of a white tiger. If Han Xiao wasn't in a coma, he would be super cool. What's going on? Lu Tingxiao frowned. He knew Han Xiao and had heard Ningxi talk about him countless times. He even took Ningxi from Han Xiao and saved Xiaobao and Ningxi's lives. Impossible. How could the god be injured? Ningxi couldn't believe it. Others didn't know Han Xiao's strength, but she did. The freak that couldn't even be hurt by bullets was lying on the back of a white tiger, unconscious. No, let him in. Ningxi was anxious. In Ningxi's eyes, Han Xiao wasn't only her brother but also her benefactor. If it wasn't for Han Xiao, she and Xiaobao wouldn't be alive. No. No way. Lu Jingli was agitated and stopped Ningxi. Sister-in-law, why did you let the god in? He's on the white tiger. Han Xiao was on the back of a white tiger. What should she do? Tell white tiger, good baby, put god Han Xiao down? Or put the white tiger with him? Solve the white tiger's problem of food and clothing? Ningxi was also taken aback by Lu Jingli's words. She felt extremely strange in her heart. Just how did Han Xiao get injured, and how did it end up on a white tiger? It's okay. Open the door, Lu Tingxiao said. Brother, are you sure? Lu Jingli thought Ningxi and Lu Tingxiao were crazy. This white tiger shouldn't hurt people, Lu Tingxiao said. Before Ningxi could speak, a shocking scene appeared outside the window. White tiger placed Han Xiao on its back in front of the window, then immediately retreated a dozen meters. Holy shit. This scene caused Lu Jingli to be greatly surprised. This white tiger is so intelligent. Lu Jingli couldn't understand. It's more intelligent than a dog. Is it strange that a tiger is more intelligent than a dog? Ningxi asked. I know, but I've never been in contact with a tiger, only a dog, Lu Jingli said matter-of-factly. Lu Tingxiao ignored Lu Jingli. Without any hesitation, he opened the door and carried Han Xiao into the room. White Tiger stood motionlessly in the distance, and only turned around and left after Han Xiao was brought into the house. I'll call the doctor over first. If he really can't do it, we'll send him to the hospital, Lu Tingxiao said. All right. Ningxi nodded. Lu Tingxiao stood up and made a phone call to ask the doctor to rush over. Lu Jingli looked at Han Xiao curiously. This was the pervert that Ningxi had mentioned before. No, the Almighty. Now that he saw it, it was indeed amazing. He was actually on the back of a white tiger. But who could hurt such a person? Ningxi had once said that even a gun couldn't do anything to this person. No matter what, Lu Jingli found it hard to believe. Who wouldn't be afraid of guns? Sister-in-law, why was the Almighty on the white tiger? Lu Jingli looked at Ningxi. I don't know. I've learned a lot. Lu Jingli clicked his tongue. Be quiet. Suddenly, the unconscious Han Xiao closed his eyes, a look of displeasure on his face. Almighty, you're awake? Are you okay? Seeing Han Xiao speak, Ningxi hurried over. What's wrong? I'm fine as long as you're alive. Han Xiao's eyes were still closed, but he sounded very awake. Chapter 1962. It was Ningxi's first time seeing Han Xiao injured. Ningxi didn't even dare to think about it. Ningxi had thought that Han Xiao was seriously injured, but she was relieved when she saw that Han Xiao could still talk like this. But master, your chest is still bleeding. Lu Jingli pointed at Han Xiao's chest and said in a daze. Ningxi watched for a moment and was frightened. Han Xiao was injured by a cold weapon. Judging from the wound, it should be a dagger that had almost pierced through his heart. If it were an ordinary person, he would have died if he wasn't sent to the hospital in time for surgery. However, this Han Xiao was actually able to speak in such a relaxed and calm manner. It's not a fatal injury. I just lost some nutrition. Han Xiao didn't care. Why are you still pretending to be handsome? Why did you faint on the tiger's back? Ningxi frowned. Lu Jingli wanted to ask about the white tiger that brought Han Xiao here, but before he could, an old man in a suit knocked on the door and entered. This old man was Lu Tingxiao's personal doctor. As soon as he entered the room, the old man saw Han Xiao and quickly squatted down to examine Han Xiao. Mr. Lu, is this the injured person you mentioned? Yes. He lost a lot of blood. The wound is very deep, very close to his heart. The more the old man examined Han Xiao, the more frightened he became. The wound was caused by a sharp weapon. If it were an ordinary person, he would have died from the pain. Plus, if he didn't receive treatment in time, he would die soon. But this young man looked calm and didn't care about his injury at all. Unfortunately, there was no equipment. If there was, he would have to examine this person to see how strong his body was. How is it? Lu Tingxiao asked. Strange. It doesn't seem to be a big problem, but the wound. The old man looked confused. Disinfect the wound and stitch it up, Han Xiao said. Young man, you have to go to the hospital. The injury is too serious. I can't treat it here. The old man reminded him. No need. Han Xiao didn't care. He was the best doctor and knew his body condition better than anyone else. Mr. Lu, look. The old man's eyes fell on Lu Tingxiao. This man seemed to be Lu Tingxiao's friend. If anything happened to him, the old man couldn't take responsibility. He told you to disinfect and stitch it up. Just do it, Ningxi said hurriedly. No matter what, she chose to believe Han Xiao. Do it, Lu Tingxiao said. Then all right. Left with no choice, the old man could only follow Han Xiao's instructions and disinfect the wound before stitching it up. After stitching up Han Xiao's wound, the old man stood up and used the washroom to clean himself up. After giving a few words of advice, he took his leave. Han Xiao, what happened? How did you get this injury? Lu Tingxiao gave Han Xiao a set of clothes. After Han Xiao changed into the clothes, Ningxi asked. I was beaten up by someone, Han Xiao replied with an indifferent expression on his face. You? Ning was surprised. You were beaten up like this? Ningxi was surprised. Ningxi knew very well what kind of freak this was. A freak that could even dodge bullets. How could he be beaten up like this? I was almost killed. Fortunately, I was alert enough, or else the dagger would have stabbed my heart. I Xiao he's SDS about it. Ning said. Xiao said, Xiao is. Is he really human? Lu Jingli's mouth twitched. Someone almost stabbed him in the heart with a dagger, but he only stitched it up. Now he looked like he was fine. It was just as Ningxi had described. He was a super monster. Chapter 1963. Who could hurt you like this? Ningxi couldn't help but ask. Well, let's not talk about it. Han Xiao didn't seem to want to continue the topic. Great God, you're so awesome. How could you be hurt like this? Lu Jingli looked at Han Xiao and asked recklessly. Brat, I was attacked while I was asleep. Han Xiao rolled his eyes. Great God, you're so awesome. How could you be attacked? Lu Jingli was very puzzled. I'm so awesome. Do you believe I can kill you with one palm? Han Xiao stared at Lu Jingli. Great God. The guy who attacked you is a bastard. As the saying goes, an honest man doesn't do underhanded things. Especially in a duel of life and death between gods like you. How could he use such a despicable method? Lu Jingli's face was full of hatred. Ningxi, who is this? Han Xiao looked at Ningxi in confusion. My brother-in-law was scared by your white tiger just now. I'm a bit talkative, don't mind. Ningxi's mouth twitched slightly. By the way, how did you get brought here by a tiger? Ningxi asked the question in her heart. That's my friend. Han Xiao yawned. Albino Bengal tiger. Has been with me since I was a child, 7 years. Ningxi was a bit speechless. She really guessed correctly. It was indeed a beast raised by this pervert. Hey, where's my white tiger? Han Xiao suddenly realized that the white tiger wasn't here, and looked around. Why didn't you let my white tiger in? Han Xiao asked in surprise. Ningxi held her forehead helplessly. Please, Almighty, not everyone is as perverted as you. That's a beast you're rearing. Think with your toes. Who would dare to let a tiger into their house without knowing? What are you afraid of? My white tiger is smarter than humans, it won't bite you. Han Xiao immediately stood up and went out to find the white tiger. Let him rest, Lu Tingxiao said. Ningxi nodded and quickly pulled Han Xiao back. Just lie down, don't struggle anymore, please. The wound had just been disinfected and stitched. It couldn't move. If it got infected or the thread was broken, it would be very troublesome. I'll help you find it. Lu Tingxiao put on his coat. The person in front of him had saved Xiaobao and Ningxi, so it was reasonable for him to help him. Follow me, Lu Tingxiao said to Lu Jingli. The bad news came so suddenly that Lu Jingli was about to cry. Brother, the Almighty needs help. Look at how badly he's injured. If he's thirsty or something, I can still help. Asking him to go out and find a giant white tiger in the middle of the night, he was practically his own brother. Ningxi was speechless. Sweetheart, let me go with you. Then he said to Lu Jingli, you stay at home and take care of the Almighty. Lu Jingli nodded like a rattledrum. Thus, only Lu Jingli and Han Xiao were left in the hall, staring at each other. Almighty, can you teach me how to tame a tiger? Lu Jingli took the opportunity to ask. Han Xiao asked, a tiger needs to be tamed? Lu Jingli. In the dark night, the two of them searched everywhere for traces of the white tiger. If they didn't find it before dawn, the people in the town would be alarmed, and there would be a riot. After searching for about 15 minutes, Ningxi stopped on a small hill. She shone the flashlight in front of them, and immediately pulled Lu Tingxiao over. Look! Lu Tingxiao turned around and looked in the direction of the flashlight. A giant white tiger crouched on the ground, its eyes also staring at Ningxi and Lu Tingxiao. Chapter 1964. Be careful. Lu Tingxiao immediately shielded Ningxi behind him. Although he knew that Han Zhao's white tiger was very human-like, it was not difficult to tell from the white tiger carrying Han Xiao to this place, and the white tiger's behavior after that. But almost instinctively, humans still maintained a certain degree of vigilance against the beast at the top of the food chain. Baby! Ningxi stared at the giant Bengal tiger, and tried to call out softly. Hearing Ningxi's call, the white tiger seemed a little hesitant. It slowly stood up and actually wagged its long snowy tail at Ningxi. Lu Tingxiao looked at the white tiger and couldn't help but be amazed. Some of his friends abroad raised brown bears, lions, tigers and leopards, but it was very rare to see such a human-like one. Soon, the white tiger walked to Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi's side and was very quiet. Baby, don't be afraid. Come home with us. Ningxi couldn't help but touch the white tiger. The white tiger shook its body and looked very docile. Baby is really great. He didn't expect that the method he used on Xiaobao would be effective on the white tiger. Of course, the most important thing was that she had Han Zhao's aura on her. He knew that he didn't mean any harm. It was Han Zhao's aura. Ningxi couldn't help but admire Han Xiao again. How did he tame a beast at the top of the food chain like this? Let's go. Lu Tingxiao didn't dare to relax. He protected Ningxi from the side and walked in the direction of the flower house. Along the way, Ningxi couldn't help but look back at the white tiger. If the white tiger wasn't so big, Ningxi would have hugged it in her arms. Sweetheart, I also want to feed a white tiger. Ningxi couldn't help but say. Unless Han Xiao helps you tame it. Lu Tingxiao said. Ordinary cats and dogs were fine, but lions and tigers at the top of the food chain were best not to provoke them. Even if they were raised from young, when the tiger grew up, a little carelessness could lead to a tragedy. Ask him to help me tame it? I'm afraid I can't afford it. Ningxi shook her head. After she tamed Han Xiao, would it still be hers? But it was really too cute, too cute. Looking at the white tiger wagging its snowy tail and staring at her gently, Ningxi felt that her heart was about to be melted by this albino giant Bengal tiger. What kind of ferocious beast was this? It was simply a super cute mythological beast. Why raise a cat or a dog? If you want to raise a tiger, raise a tiger. Half an hour had passed by the time he returned to the garden house. Fortunately, the building was designed to have 2 doors. Otherwise, the albino Bengal tiger's body would not be able to squeeze in at all. Even so, it was not easy for the white tiger to enter the room. My mother. Lu Jingli stared at the white tiger in the living room and felt his scalp go numb. Goosebumps rose all over his body. Occasionally, Lu Jingli's body would tremble under the white tiger's domineering gaze. If this thing suddenly became ferocious, even 100 of him wouldn't be enough to be smacked to death by that huge tiger paw. Little darling, be careful. Ever since Ningxi returned, she had been pestering the white tiger. Her hands kept touching the white tiger's body. That soft fur was simply extremely comfortable. The best hand feeling in history. Shake hands. Ningxi held white tiger's huge claws with both hands and touched the soft meat pad. It was a super enjoyment. What was surprising was that when the white tiger played with Ningxi, it took the initiative to withdraw its sharp claws into the meat pad, as if it was afraid of accidentally hurting Ningxi. My little darling, I really love you. It didn't take long for Ningxi to become familiar with the white tiger. She held the white tiger's head and kissed its forehead. Chapter 1965. But Lu Jingli looked at Ningxi as if she was a pervert. She said she was cute and she even rubbed it. Han Xiao, I've made up my mind. Suddenly, Ningxi shouted at Han Xiao, who was eating a peach. Han Xiao looked at Ningxi in confusion. What? I've decided to adopt you, an albino Bengal white tiger. Don't thank me. Ningxi hugged half of the white tiger's body and didn't want to let go. Adopt my white tiger? Han Xiao was stunned and didn't understand the meaning of Ningxi's words. Are you dreaming? When Han Xiao came to himself, he curled his lips. She wanted to steal his white tiger, and told him not to thank her. Was she a bandit? Brother Han Xiao. Ningxi softened. No way. Han Xiao refused directly. Grandpa Han Xiao. No way. There was still no room for negotiation. 100 KFC luxury buckets. Ningxi laughed. No. Han Xiao was unmoved. I'll give you a KFC. Ningxi made a ruthless move. 10,000 KFC? This time, Han Xiao finally resisted the temptation of KFC and didn't disarm and surrender. For a foodie, it was not easy. That night, Lu Jingli didn't sleep at all. It was not because he didn't want to leave the white tiger like Ningxi, but because he couldn't sleep well. If he slept in the middle of the night and died under the tiger's mouth, who could he blame? For a few days, Han Xiao lived and ate in the small building in the garden. Lu Tingxiao arranged everything so that Han Xiao could rest in peace. As for Ningxi, in order to spend a few more days with the white tiger, she couldn't wait to let Han Xiao live here. A week later, Han Xiao's injury was completely healed, and he left with the white tiger. Before leaving, he took almost all the snacks and food in the small building in the garden on the pretext that the white tiger needed food. After Han Xiao left with the white tiger, Ningxi suddenly realized what was going on. Damn it! She had never heard that a tiger could eat snacks. This foodie had no integrity at all. A few days later, Jaz called Ningxi and asked her to meet him at the private club last time. It was noon when they arrived at the place. In the private room, Jaz saw Ningxi come in and pulled the bench for her. Ningxi was flattered. Thank you, Mr. Jaz. Miss Ningxi, you're welcome. If you can. If can you call me Grandpa? Jaz stared at Ningxi and asked nervously. Hearing this, Ningxi was stunned. This kind and amiable old man in front of him, who was also his idol, wanted him to call him Grandpa. He couldn't refuse this no matter what. Grandpa Jaz. So Ningxi called out. Thank you. An indescribable expression appeared in Jaz's turbid eyes. Why did you call me here today? Ningxi asked. Oh, it's about the old version of the male killer, Carl. Jaz returned to the main topic. Male assassin. Ningxi remembered that in the movie The Assassin, there was a male assassin named Carl, who was also one of the important supporting roles. He was a cross-dressing assassin and had a good relationship with the female lead. The two of them often went out on assassination missions together. The background of Carl in the new script has been changed. He is a mysterious Oriental killer, a Chinese man, who is only inferior to the female assassin. Such a role is most suitable for finding actors in China. Zhi explained. The new version of the assassin didn't change much, but it was just right. Ningxi was also aware of this change. Chapter 1966. Do you want me to recommend a suitable Chinese actor? Ningxi asked. Yes. Zhi nodded. Ningxi was surprised that Zhi trusted her so much. Carl, the male assassin in the movie, was considered one of the most important characters. If any male actor in the country could play such a role, his status and identity would definitely rise. His importance was self-evident. But Zhi gave her such an important role. If it's a cross-role killer, I think temperament and appearance should be very important, not to mention that it involves a cross-role story. In addition, to cater to the domestic film market, the actor should at least be an A-list actor. Among the actors I know, there is a suitable one. Ningxi said cautiously after pondering for a moment. That's great. Zhi took out a contract and handed it to Ningxi. This is the contract. The salary and some details are all in the contract. Thank you, Zhi said. Ningxi was stunned again after taking the contract. Did he just give it to her? She only said a few words, didn't she? Wasn't he being a little too trusting of her? Out of caution, Ningxi declined. But Zhi trusted her very much and entrusted it to her politely. In the end, Ningxi couldn't refuse and took the contract. After all, she was sure that the person she recommended would win. After leaving the private club, Ningxi drove to a villa in the capital without delay and knocked on Jiang Mai's door. Jiang Mai was wearing pajamas and slippers. His hair was a bird's nest, and he was holding a game controller in his hand. When he opened the door and saw Ningxi, he was stunned. It seemed that he didn't expect to see her. When he came to his senses, he said angrily, "Hey, Aunt, what brings you here?" He was still angry with this guy who valued his girlfriend more than his friends. Ningxi didn't answer. She looked into the room and asked mysteriously, "Is there anyone in there?" Bullshit. Jiang Mai glared at her when he realized what she meant. Was he such a reckless man? Didn't you say that you have a date with a beautiful woman? I'm just afraid that I'll disturb your happiness. Knowing that Jiang Mai had no woman, Ningxi didn't have any scruples. She directly pushed him away and swaggered into the room. Jiang Mai closed the door and dashed into the room. He quickly sat on the sofa and started playing games again with the game controller. "Stop playing. I have something serious to talk to you about," Ningxi said when she saw Jiang Mai playing the game enthusiastically. "I'll tell you later. I've been fighting all night. I'm very nervous." Jiang Mai was unusually focused. "You forced me to do this." Ningxi stepped forward, not giving Jiang Mai any face. While Jiang Mai was unprepared, she directly unplugged the power of the game console. Jiang Mai jumped 3 feet high. "Ning Xiaoxi, even if you give me a girl, I won't let you off today." Ningxi was speechless. "Give your sister away. Dream on." "But there is one good thing." "What good can you have for me? I'm lucky that you didn't torture me." Jiang Mai snorted. "I really have something important to tell you this time. I want you to play a role," Ningxi said seriously. "Role? What role?" Jiang Mai finally became serious and looked at Ningxi in confusion. What role would Ningxi come to see him in person? Was there any role for him? Chapter 1967. A male killer, Ningxi said. Male assassin. Jiang Mai touched his chin. He actually quite liked the role of an assassin, who could act cool. A cross-dresser, Ningxi added. "What's that?" Jiang Mai was taken aback. "A killer dressed as a woman," Ningxi explained in detail. The next second, Jiang Mai jumped up, pointed at Ningxi's nose and shouted, "Ning Xiaoxi, you pervert! You still don't want to give up. Why do you want me to dress as a woman? Don't even think about it. I won't dress as a woman." "Really?" Ningxi narrowed her eyes. "Really? More real than pearls. If I dress as a woman, I'll be your son." Jiang Mai sneered. "Alas." Ningxi shook her head and said with pity, "I was thinking of you, but you didn't appreciate it. Forget it. You should keep such a good thing for yourself." Jiang Mai said with an expression of, "I'm grateful to your whole family. It's a pity that I have to find someone else to play the role of Killer Carl." Ningxi turned around and left. What? Killer Carl? Jiang Mai stood in front of the door immediately. Did you just say, the killer in the Hollywood movie? Jiang Mai asked tentatively. Yes. What else? Ningxi nodded. Ning Xiaoxi, who are you kidding? Will they hire a Chinese actor to play such an important role? Jiang Mai said with a don't even think about it look. Even if they did hire a Chinese actor, it had nothing to do with Ningxi. How could they let Ningxi find an actor? Look. Ningxi took out the contract and threw it to Jiang Mai. Jiang Mai opened the contract and looked at it carefully. 15 minutes later, Jiang Mai's pupils shrank. This was indeed the contract for the male killer Carl in the new version of the killer. And Ningxi wouldn't lie to him with such a thing. Damn. Ning Xiaoxi, how did you get the role? Good job. Jiang Mai was excited. Jiang Mai was a classic mystery of the killer. He had watched the movie hundreds of times since he was a child. More importantly, his idol Juz was the producer of the new version of the killer. Give it back. Ningxi couldn't be bothered with Jiang Mai and snatched the contract back. Aunt, please don't. I'll do it. Jiang Mai said with a smile. Tsk tisk, I'm sorry, but this time, even calling me first aunt won't work. Ningxi didn't buy it. She said softly. Who said that if he acts, he'll call me daddy? Dad. Jiang Mai stared at Ningxi and shouted decisively. Ningxi. Ningxi stared at Jiang Mai speechlessly. Previously, when she asked him to act, he refused no matter what and even threatened her. At this moment he was licking his face and calling him daddy, insisting on signing the contract. Where's your integrity? Jiang Mai smiled apologetically and tried to make his smile more sincere. Dad, I was wrong. Really? The corners of Ningxi's mouth twitched. She threw the contract back to Jiang Mai and said, take a good look at it. I need to report back to them. Ning Xiaoxi, how did you get this role for me? Jiang Mai couldn't wait to sign the contract and asked in confusion. Mr. Juz asked me to look for a suitable actor and recommended you to him, Ningxi said. Hearing Ningxi mention Juz, Jiang Mai was a little surprised. Chapter 1968. You know Juz? Jiang Mai was surprised. Ningxi hadn't been in the entertainment circle for long. Even the most famous actress in the country couldn't know Juz. How could I know him? I met him at the audition, but we got along well. He was the one who decided the role for me, Ningxi said. Audition? Oh, I haven't asked you yet. What's your role? Jiang Mai asked casually. Killer, Ningxi said. Jiang Mai was shocked. Don't tell me you're playing the female lead, Anna? Ningxi had expected this reaction. Holding her chin, she said, I feel like I'm in a dream. It was said that Lillian was supposed to be the female lead. Jiang Mai didn't know what to say. How could a heavyweight Hollywood classic like Hitman use a Chinese actress as the female lead? This kind of thing had never happened in the country before. Not to mention the killer. Even if it was an ordinary Hollywood movie, there were only a handful of Chinese actors who were given slightly more important roles. Especially after knowing that Ningxi had replaced Lillian. Jiang Mai was full of admiration. Lillian was now the youngest best actress in Hollywood, and one of the hottest artists in Hollywood. Her importance was self-evident. The female lead role that was originally given to Lillian in The Assassin was actually replaced by Ningxi, and it was the decision of his super idol. Just Jiang Mai raised his eyebrows, and his expression was very subtle. TSK, Han Zixuan and Zheng Anru are still boasting that Han Zixuan has successfully entered the Assassin crew and participated in the Assassin movie. I'm afraid they would never dream that you are now the female lead of the Assassin. Zheng Anru and Han Zixuan must have been slapped in the face by Ningxi this time. Mission accomplished. I'm leaving. If you need women's clothes, you can come to me, Ningxi said with a smile. Oh. Thinking of women's clothes, Jiang Mai's excited mood suddenly turned sad. Damn it. What's going on? After leaving the villa area, Ningxi drove back to the garden house in Deer Town. Thinking of the days she spent with White Tiger, Ningxi's heart almost melted. She couldn't help but call Han Xiao, asking him to bring White Tiger to give her a massage. Unfortunately, Han Xiao's phone was turned off and he couldn't get through. The Almighty really came and went like a shadow. A week later, Almost all the well-known entertainment media in the country rushed to a certain filming location for The Hitman, in the imperial capital. Today, the production team would be holding a press conference to confirm the casting. China's A-lister, Han Zixuan, had successfully entered the cast of Hitman and acted in the movie. Every media outlet wanted to get first-hand information and interview her. A temporary base for the show, the prestige monarch appeared for the first time. The black suit accentuated his slender figure to the extreme. Emperor Prestige. Oh my God, so handsome. After seeing the mighty emperor in person, many of the media were instantly convinced. Wei Di was even more handsome in person than in front of the camera. The Wei Di came out to greet them before hurriedly leaving. After that, Lillian and some of Hollywood's top actors also appeared and politely answered a few questions from the Chinese media before returning to the set. About half an hour later, Han Zixuan, her two assistants, and Zheng Anru appeared in front of the media. Miss Han Zixuan, may I ask how you managed to successfully act in The Assassin this time? Chapter 1969. Seeing Han Zixuan appear, many media swarmed to her. Zheng Anru answered the questions with a proud smile on her face. First of all, it's because of Zixuan's superb acting skills. Secondly, the role is suitable for her. Coupled with her fame as an A-lister, it was a piece of cake for Zixuan to get the role in the Killer movie. Reporter. Then what role will Miss Han Zixuan play in the Killer movie? Reporter. We all know that the Killer movie is regarded as a biblical classic that Hollywood can't surpass. I wonder if Miss Han Zixuan has ever felt any pressure? Zheng Anru said. Zixuan knows this movie very well, and has done a lot of homework. In order to concentrate on this movie, she even temporarily put aside her work in the world. I dare not say that I will surpass her predecessors, but I will definitely try my best to play the role vividly and vividly. As for the role, although there aren't many scenes, everyone should know that even in an ordinary Hollywood movie, it's extremely difficult to get a role, especially in a biblical classic like An Assassin. For Zixuan to be able to get such a role, especially to be able to share the stage with Hollywood's best actor in Lillian, it's already something to be proud of. By the way, it is said that Miss Ning Shi also participated in the audition of the Killer movie, but there is no news from Shengshi Entertainment. Is there any inside information from Starlight Entertainment? A female reporter hurriedly took the opportunity to ask. Speaking of Ning Shi, Zheng Anru smiled, and a trace of disdain appeared in her eyes. Then she said flatly, we don't know much about Shengshi Entertainment and Ning Shi. However, the main role in the Killer movie has already been decided. Besides, there is no news from Shengshi Entertainment. You can imagine it yourself. Besides, Hollywood usually only uses one role in this kind of biblical classic remake. Since Zixuan has succeeded in the audition, although Zheng Anru didn't say it clearly, her meaning was very obvious. Maybe Ning Shi didn't succeed in the audition. It was more likely that Ning Shi and Han Zixuan, two super A-listers, competed for the same role. As a result, Han Zixuan got the role and joined the crew, while Ning Shi failed. In the Killer movie, Wei Di will play the leading role and Lillian will play the leading role. The other roles are also relatively transparent. If Hollywood only chose one role in Hua Nation, does it mean that Miss Ning Shi and Miss Han Zixuan competed for the same role, and Miss Han Zixuan won? Remember to grasp the main point and ask questions immediately. Zheng Anru smiled. We're not too sure about that. The process doesn't seem important. In the end, Zixuan ended up participating in The Killer. Although Zheng Anru did not say it explicitly, her words were already very clear. All the reporters had a look of understanding. While they were talking, Su Tao appeared on the set with several assistants and Ning Shi. Yo! Su Tao looked at Zheng Anru, who was not far away, and said, Zheng Anru, the gold medal agent, did you bring your minor role to win glory for Starlight Entertainment today? Seeing Su Tao and Ning Shi suddenly appear here, Zheng Anru sneered. What's the matter? You came here with a has-been actress who can't even get a cameo role? Are you trying to gain exposure? Chapter 1970. What? What did you say? A has-been actress who can't even get a cameo role? Su Tao made an exaggerated look. Are you ignorant? Zhang Anru stared at Ningxi and Su Tao with undisguised disdain in her eyes. At this time they were still pretending. Miss Ningxi, it is said that you also auditioned for the same role with Miss Han Zixuan, but you lost in the end. Is that true? Miss Ningxi, does this mean that even if you are currently in the limelight in China, and even sweep the top 5 lists overnight, your international status is still not as good as Miss Han Zixuan's? Hearing this question, Zhang Anru sneered. This kind of question should be asked more often. Before Su Tao could speak, the official launch of the official role of the killer had begun. All the media reporters stopped paying attention to Ningxi and quickly rushed into the venue, trying to find the best angle to release the report. Su Tao took Ningxi to walk towards the venue from another channel. At this moment, at the press conference, Wei Lilian and others were already seated. All the characters in the new killer had arrived. A cameo role like Han Zixuan couldn't be on the table. Everyone on the table was an important character. Why is there an empty seat? A reporter was puzzled. Is Lilian sitting in the second female lead seat? Some sharp-eyed reporters found that Lilian's seat was not the first female lead seat, but the second female lead seat. Is the previous rumor wrong? Lilian is playing the second female lead's role in The Killer ? Who is the first female lead? It should be one of the superhuman Hollywood movie queens. I guess it's Jennifer or Blanche. While all the domestic media were guessing, Ningxi walked into the venue. Seeing Ningxi, Wei stood up politely and pulled the female seat in front of him away. Seeing this, all the media looked around, searching for the other 2 Hollywood movie queens. A has-been actress came here to freeload? Doesn't she feel ashamed of our country? Seeing that Ningxi and Su Tao also entered the venue, Zhang Anru sneered. That's right. But I can't beat Sister Zixuan, so there's nothing I can do about it. After all, it's an assassin's press conference. I'm just here to have a look and see so many famous Hollywood celebrities. It can also be considered as consolation for my failure. A person like her can only watch Big Sis Zixuan, Wei and Lilian perform together on television. What chance does she have? Could it be that he's here to cause trouble again? This person is too shameless. The 2 assistants in front of Han Zixuan sneered. Not only Zhang Anru and the others, but many domestic media also saw Ningxi. Miss Ningxi, since you didn't get the role and failed to compete with Miss Han Zixuan, as a domestic A-list actress, isn't it inappropriate for you to come to the release of Killers? Miss Ningxi, how are you feeling now? More than a dozen reporters surrounded Ningxi and immediately asked questions. Sorry, please excuse me. Su Tao couldn't be bothered with these people. He protected Ningxi and walked up to the stage. So, under the watchful eyes of the public, Ningxi actually walked in the direction of the press conference. Miss Ningxi, please sit down. At this moment Wei, who had helped to pull out the chair, made a very gentlemanly gesture of please. Chapter 1971. Thank you. Ningxi nodded to express her gratitude. Under everyone's shocked and incredulous gaze, she sat firmly on the leading actress seat. Seeing this scene, Han Zixuan, Zhang Anru, the assistants, and the reporters were all completely stunned. Zhang Anru's disdainful smile froze on her face, as if she had been petrified. Ningxi walked forward slowly and finally sat down on the leading actress seat. Lilian looked at Ningxi from time to time. She didn't know what the director was thinking. Why would a Hollywood movie, especially a remake of the biblical classic The Killer, use a Hua actress? However, even director Simon didn't answer this question. He even reminded her not to make trouble in case of trouble. So although she was dissatisfied, she didn't dare to do anything. Of course, if the box office was not good enough when the movie was released, it would be the problem of using the leading actress. At this moment, the Chinese entertainment reporters were all stunned, and even forgot to ask questions. Hollywood actually chose a Hua Nation actress as the female lead. And this female lead was Ningxi. All the cameras focused on Ningxi at once. Hello Miss Ningxi, are you Anna, the leading actress of The Killer? A reporter immediately asked. Yes. Ningxi nodded and said. At first, the audience still had some doubts, but after Ningxi admitted it herself, there was an uproar. Zheng Anru and Han Zixuan, together with the assistants, stared at Ning Shi, who was the focus of attention in a trance. Ning Shi is the leading actress of The Killer, right? A lie? One of the assistants' eyes turned pale with fright. How could it be? Zheng Anru came to herself and her face changed dramatically. It was very rare for a Hua Super A-list actress to play a small role in The Killer. She directly became the leading actress. What kind of joke was this? Zheng Anru, it's cool down there with you as an extra. Don't you want to sit up there? At this moment, Su Tao leisurely walked forward and stared at Zheng Anru with a smile. Zheng Anru clenched her fists and her face was so gloomy that it seemed that water could drip from it. Even if she died, she wouldn't have expected such a scene. What was the concept of being the female lead in a classic Hollywood blockbuster? Su Tao had a cheeky smile on his face. After Ning Shi starred in Hitman, she would become an international A-lister. From then on, who in the entire Chinese entertainment industry could compare to Ning Shi? Han Zixuan. That was simply trash. Unless Han Zixuan could make her character shine in The Assassin. Perhaps it was still possible. However, was it possible for a minor character? Su Tao, don't be too arrogant. Zheng Anru looked at Su Tao's smug look and almost exploded from anger. They had thought that after Han Zixuan got the role, her status in the Hua Nation entertainment industry would be unshakable. Who would have thought that the producers of Killer were so stupid as to ask Ning Shi to be the female lead? So what if I'm arrogant? Bite me? I'm afraid I'll break your teeth. Su Tao laughed. Seeing Zheng Anru's flustered and exasperated appearance, Su Tao was extremely delighted. What are you so proud of? Zheng Anru pointed at Su Tao. Who knows if your has-been actress will be replaced halfway through? Even if not, if this movie doesn't reach the expected box office, I'll see how you'll die. Zheng Anru was so angry that her voice was trembling. Chapter 1972. Humph, that's a matter of the future. Let's see if you'll die now. Seeing that it was about time, Su Tao turned around and left with satisfaction. He did not look at Zheng Anru again. Zheng Anru stood there with a gloomy face. She didn't say a word and her heart was in a mess. This time, she was really panicking. Miss Ning Shi, how did you get the role of the killer woman? The reporters asked Ning Shi. Before Ning Shi could answer, Assistant Director Simon Joseph said, "It's simple. Because Miss Ning Shi's image and temperament are very suitable for the role of Anna. This is the first time that Hollywood has used a Chinese actress as the leading actress, and Miss Ning Shi is the most suitable one as the most famous actress in Hua." The Prestige Emperor also chimed in. This was a slap in Han Zixuan's face. "Mr. Will, have you seen Miss Ning Shi's works?" At this time, a male reporter asked. Probably no one had expected that not only Director Simon, but also Wei was speaking for Ning Shi. Although they were on the same side now, it was still unbelievable. "Yes, a few days ago, I read Miss Ning Shi's works after learning that I would be acting with Miss Ning Shi. Under the Heavens is a movie with strong Chinese characteristics. Although I don't understand it, Miss Ning Shi did a great job in playing the role of Meng Chang'e. There's also a movie called Mother, in which the blind mother. It can be said that it's the epitome of human maternal love, and the understanding of human nature. And Miss Ning Shi's performance in Men's Clothing in The Dream Seeker is more than enough to prove that she is capable of portraying the male side of Anna." Wei analyzed carefully. He was really familiar with all of Ning Shi's works and couldn't find any mistakes. In fact, Wei had watched Ning Shi's works and appreciated them very much. "So, I am a fan of Miss Ning Shi and I look forward to acting with her." Wei smiled. "Thank you, Mr. Will," Ning Shi said to Wei. She was totally surprised to receive such a high praise from Wei. "I didn't expect Mr. Will to be a fan of Miss Ning Shi." After hearing Emperor Wei's comments, many of the domestic entertainment media were shocked. "Mr. Will, thank you for your answer. I have another question. Between Miss Ning Shi and Miss Han Zixuan, who do you want to act with most?" "What?" The mighty emperor blanked. "Miss Ning Shi or Miss Han Zixuan, who do you want to play with most?" The reporter thought that Wei didn't hear him clearly and repeated himself. "I understand what you mean, but the young lady Han Zixuan you're talking about. I'm sorry, I've never paid attention to her, said the mighty emperor. Top stars like them would never say such polite words on such occasions. If you know, then you know. If you don't know, then you don't know. Following the majestic monarch's words, Zhang Anru and Han Zixuan's expressions were indescribable. The assistants were still complaining. Mr. Will, Miss Han Zixuan is also a superstar in Hua Nation. She is as famous as Miss Ningxi. The reporter was a little embarrassed. I'm sorry, I've only seen Miss Ningxi's works, but I don't know Miss Han Zixuan's works. If I have a chance in the future, I'll have a look. I'll answer your question then, Emperor Weidi said generously. Chapter 1973. Okay, thank you. The reporter nodded and ended his speech. Everyone's expression was a bit indescribable, but soon they came to themselves and continued to ask questions. Miss Ningxi, the old version of the female killer, has become a classic. Miss Ningxi, do you feel the same pressure to play such a role? I will try my best to play the role. As for the pressure, I will feel it, but, just as Ningxi was about to reply, Jiang Mai rushed into the hall with his agent and assistant. Seeing that Jiang Mai had just arrived, Ningxi glared at him secretly. This guy was late for the opening ceremony of the movie in Hua Nation. Seeing Jiang Mai's sudden appearance, many cameras turned to him. Sorry, really sorry. The car broke down halfway. Lei Ming said apologetically. Even if he was beaten to death, he would never say that this guy was too excited and overslept. Jiang Mai walked to Simon Joseph and said, Director Simon, I'm really sorry. Sit down. Simon Joseph waved his hand. After Jiang Mai got the contract from Ningxi, he immediately went to the film company and made an appointment with the producer, Zhuz, to get acquainted with the crew. It was fine if this guy was not serious, but when he was serious, it was hard not to like him. Soon he became familiar with the crew. Seeing that Jiang Mai sat down on the nameplate of the character Carl, the audience burst into exclamations again. My God! Jiang Mai is playing Carl. Carl doesn't have many scenes, but he is as classic as the main character. The actor who played the role of the male killer Carl became an international A-lister with this role. Now he was also the highest-paid comedy star in Hollywood. Lei Ming looked around and strode up to Su Tao with a smile on his face. Old Su, it's all thanks to Ningxi that Mu Yi got such a good opportunity. Su Tao said proudly. My queen is so loyal. For the first time, Hollywood used 3 Chinese actors. Han Zixuan's cameo didn't count, but Ningxi and Jiang Mai, one was the leading actress of the movie, and the other was Carl, a very outstanding supporting role in the movie. It was unbelievable. But Mr. Jiang Mai, I didn't hear that you went to the audition. How did you get this role? A female reporter looked at Jiang Mai in confusion. Hearing that, Jiang Mai nodded and replied, Yes, I did an audition before. Then your role is? The female reporter continued. Ningxi helped me fight for it, Jiang Mai said honestly. Not only the female reporter, but the others were also stunned by Jiang Mai's answer. What? Ningxi helped him fight for it? What did that mean? For a moment, everyone's eyes fell on Ningxi. I just made a recommendation. It's mainly because of Senior Zhang's strength. Ningxi smiled. Hearing Ningxi's answer, Jiang Mai was speechless. Damn strength. Did he have the ability to cross-dressing? It felt like there was more to this guy's words. At this moment, the Chinese media once again fell silent. All along, they had been comparing Han Zixuan with Ningxi, but looking at it now, it was simply too laughable. Chapter 1974. Ningxi became the #1 killer woman. Later, she recommended Jiang Mai to play the role of Carl, a classic character in The Killer. Han Zixuan, on the other hand, only got a minor role after much preparation. After all, Jiang Mai didn't even have an audition. Because of Ningxi's words, he got the contract to play the role of Carl. What was the situation now? Weidi only knew Ningxi and claimed to be her fan. When Han Zixuan was mentioned, he looked confused and said he didn't know her. Ningxi sat in the leading female's seat and accepted all kinds of interviews from the Chinese media. After Han Zixuan got the minor role in the movie, Starlight Entertainment made a lot of publicity. She was the light of Hua Nation. Ningxi, on the other hand, didn't do any publicity at all. She went straight to the leading female's seat after the opening ceremony of the movie in Hua Nation. Han Zixuan didn't even have the right to go on stage. She could only stand below the stage and look up at Ningxi. What was the difference? Needless to say, this was the difference. There was no harm without comparison. Mr. Jiangmai, can you tell us your understanding of the role of Carl? A reporter asked. Sure. Jiangmai nodded and thought for a while. Carl and the leading female character, Anna, are from the same school. They often carry out assassination missions. In one of the missions, Carl dressed up as a woman. Mr. Jiangmai, what do you think of the cross-dressing? Can you personally accept such a large-scale role? The reporter immediately asked. Obviously, the other reporters were also very interested in this issue. Jiangmai wanted to slap the reporter to death, but he could only say, I'm a loyal fan of the movie and I like the role of Carl very much. It's an honor to play Carl. As for the cross-dressing, it's also necessary for the plot. As a professional actor, I should try to play a variety of roles and keep challenging myself. Anyway, I'll play this role with all my heart. Jiangmai looked at the flashing lights and felt a headache coming on. If it was a normal Hollywood movie, he would not have hesitated to reject the role of a cross-dressing man. However, as a loyal fan of the movie, he couldn't resist the temptation of recreating a classic. He had to bite the bullet and do it. The questions from the Chinese entertainment media continued. Most of them revolved around Ningxi and Weidi. For example, Han Zixuan and the other minor characters were completely ignored by the media. Miss Ningxi, you are the light of Hua Nation in Hollywood, the glory of our nation. A reporter stared at Ningxi and sighed. After the press conference, Ningxi was given the title of Hollywood's glory of Hua Nation that Han Zixuan had boasted about before. Starlight Entertainment. Wang Haojuan fell onto the large leather chair, his face ashen. How is this possible? His original plan was that Lu Jingli would use his connections with Lu Enterprises to help Ningxi snatch the role away from him. Even if this was the result, he could still turn the situation around. He could say that Ningxi had used underhanded means to steal Han Zixuan's role, and use public opinion to attack her. Who would have thought that the role of Han Zixuan would not be snatched away? Instead, Ningxi would get the leading role, and even Jiangmai would play an important role. This round was already a dead end. After this battle, Golden Age Entertainment could be said to have made a complete turnaround. He didn't dare to think about what would happen to Starlight Entertainment in the future. Chapter 1975. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Wang Haojuan immediately stood up. Mr. Su, why are you here? After Su Yan transferred all his shares to Ning Xuelua, he rarely asked about the company's affairs. Did Ning Xuelua ask him to come? That must be it. What if he borrowed the Su family's power? Wang Haojuan's eyes suddenly bloomed with a glimmer of hope. Mr. Su, my men did not do a good job this time and lost such an important cooperation. I can't absolve myself from the blame. But the most important thing now is to find a way to make up for it. Do you have any good ideas, Mr. Su? Su Yan looked at the newspaper on Wang Haojuan's desk. On the front page was a photo of Ningxi sitting on the female lead seat of The Assassin. The headline was, Hollywood's Glory of China, Ningxi. Su Yan looked at the photo and felt a dull pain in his eyes. His girl. He should have looked for her and replied to her a long time ago. But now, he could only go back on his promise to her and avoid her in a sorry state. Mr. Su. Mr. Su? Su Yan looked away from the newspaper. How can we make up for the fact that our artists are not as good as others? Wang Haojuan was taken aback. Ahem, but Zixuan is the #1 sister of Starlight. Her reputation is Starlight's reputation. This time, Ningxi has suppressed Starlight to this extent. It's really embarrassing for Starlight. Survival of the fittest. If she can't do it, then let someone else do it. Wang Haojuan was speechless by Su Yan. Although Su Yan's words were not pleasant to hear, they were not without reason. The role had been determined, and there was nothing that could be done about it. Now that Han Zixuan was suppressed to this extent, Starlight could not always put all their resources in one bowl. I understand what you mean, Mr. Su, Wang Haojuan said. Xu Elua hasn't been feeling well recently. Contact me if you need anything, Su Yan said. Then a trace of bitterness flashed in his eyes. He could only use this method to get closer to her. Okay, I understand. Wang Haojuan nodded. Su Yan was now managing Starlight on behalf of Ning Xuelua. Although he could not reverse the situation, he could only comfort himself that he had another backer. Not long after Su Yan left, Zheng Anru rushed into Wang Haojuan's office as if she had found a fire. Mr. Wang, you must seek justice for our Zixian. Zixuan was so angry that she was sent to the hospital. Ningxi, that bitch, had used some kind of crafty plot to get the female lead role out of nowhere. This was completely shady. How can our Zixuan be a concubine for that kind of person? Isn't that? Wang Haojuan interrupted Zheng Anru's incessant chatter with a displeased expression. All right, don't blame everything on others. I've spent all my resources on her. How am I supposed to seek justice for her? Juz is the female lead in a movie personally produced by him. Is this something that can be done with schemes and schemes? Even if Lu Enterprises use their connections, the actors themselves must have enough strength to convince the crew, and even Juz himself. This was more difficult than having connections. After all, it was impossible for Juz to ruin his reputation. If it was said that Wang Haojuan only had some regrets before, then at this moment, he was so regretful that he doubted his life. If Ningxi had stayed with Starlight, this miracle, this great glory, would have all belonged to Starlight, and Wang Haojuan's name would have forever been recorded in the annals of the entertainment industry. Chapter 1976. Thinking of this, Wang Haojuan was even more upset. He said in a low voice, now that things have come to this, if she is not satisfied with this role, I will arrange for someone else. President Wang, that's not what I meant. Zheng Anru said hurriedly. What she meant was that she wanted to get the lead actress, not quit the crew. Wang Haojuan said in an unfriendly tone. Then be prepared. Since she is sick, let her stay at home for a while to recuperate and practice her acting skills. She is not the only actress in the company. Zheng Anru understood such an obvious warning. She wanted to say something else, but she was afraid that she would make Wang Haojuan even more unhappy, so she could only walk out in a low voice. Zheng Anru had actually expected this result, but she was really unwilling to accept it. How could the most popular actress in the entertainment circle, whom she had brought up, be suppressed by a has-been Ningxi to this extent? After the press conference, Han Zixuan finally went back at the speed of a tortoise, not daring to boast anymore after losing so much face. Shengshi Entertainment, on the other hand, held a lively celebration party. Everyone rejoiced and hope was restored. After all, from what happened to Qin Shuang and Jiang Mai, it could be seen that Ningxi was not the kind of person who monopolized resources. On the contrary, since Ningxi came back, she had never forgotten to find resources for them. All of a sudden, Ningxi's prestige in the hearts of all the employees and artists of Shengshi Entertainment reached its peak. Soon after, the shooting of The Killer entered an intense period. Ningxi was on the set with the script in her hand. Whenever she had free time, she would study it carefully. The rarest thing was that Jiang Mai almost lived with the crew and was so serious that he almost went crazy. Lei Ming was moved to tears. His naughty boy had finally grown up. It only took about a week for the plot to take place in Hua Nation to be completed. Ningxi and Jiang Mai also went to Europe with the crew to continue shooting. At the same time, the financial market of Hua Land was greatly impacted in a short period of time. Most of the financial indicators in Hua Land, including short-term interest rates, currency assets, securities, real estate, and even the stocks of some listed companies, were impacted and deteriorated. The first to bear the brunt of the deterioration of the stocks was the Lu Group in Hua Land. The Lu Group subsidiaries were spread all over Asia. They were the wind vane of China's economic system, and controlled the economic lifeline of almost the entire Asia. Once the Lu Group collapsed, it would be a huge blow to the entire Chinese economy. In the conference hall, Lu Tingxiao's deep eyes were dark. Brother, what's going on? Lu Jingli rushed to the conference room and saw that Lu Tingxiao was still there. Lu Tingxiao looked at the complicated data on the computer screen. Someone is controlling it from behind. Right now, China's economy was in a mess, like a bubble economy in the past. Once the bubble burst, the consequences would be unimaginable. If they wanted to destroy Hua Nation's economy, the first thing they had to deal with was Lu Corporation. But what kind of person has such great ability? This is simply impossible. The other party's target wasn't just one or two companies, but the entire Hua Nation. How powerful must they be to achieve this? Now, some of the large and small shareholders of the Lu Group had issued an announcement 3 days ago to sell their shares to the outside world. Chapter 1977. And overnight, the shares that had been sold were all purchased by a rather mysterious foreign economic group. If Lu Group were to change hands and fall into the hands of an outsider, it would form a virtual bubble economy. It would be enough to destroy the entire economic chain in a short period of time. Thinking of this, Lu Jingli's scalp went numb. This was definitely a conspiracy. It wasn't just Lu Group. There were also several powerful Shangshi groups in China that had the exact same experience as Lu Group. In other words, they're not just targeting Lu Group. They're trying to control the entire Asian economy? Lu Jingli looked at Lu Tingxiao in horror. There were too many Asian underground forces attached to the Asian economy. If the Asian economy was destroyed, it would be very easy to disintegrate those underground forces. Whether it was disintegrating or using them for their own use, there would be no difficulty at all. Which force is it? I originally thought it was that bastard Yun again, but after thinking about it, even he wouldn't be able to do this. Lu Jingli's brain was about to explode. After a while, Lu Tingxiao opened his mouth and said 2 words, "Lucky Emperor." After hearing these 2 words, Lu Jingli was stunned. After a moment he said in shock, "What the fuck? No way. We don't interfere with each other. What does that old guy mean by coming to our territory to cause trouble? And I feel like they're targeting Lu Group this time." If Lu Group didn't change hands, then the current situation would still be stable. But once Lu Group fell, the consequences would be obvious. For example, those powerful listed companies in the country would instantly collapse with the collapse of Lu Group. There would be no room for negotiation. Yunshen, the internal problem was already bad enough, and now an external enemy had come to interfere. At night, in an old house in the suburbs of Beijing, in the dim shadows, a white-haired man's cold voice could be heard. "Tisk, Uncle Qiao is really lucky." Looking at the man who had betrayed his family and hatred, Qiao Yi's face was unusually gloomy. "Shen, you've been bewitched by that woman. I can forgive you this once." Yun Shen chuckled as if he had heard something funny. "Now I'll give you one last chance. Join forces with me. This is our only chance to overthrow the Lu family." Yun Shen's gaze fell on the man in the darkness. "Looks like Uncle Qiao has found a thick thigh this time? Since that's the case, why do you need me?" Qiao Yi was completely infuriated by Yun Shen's nonchalant tone. "Your mother's corpse is still warm. You're just wasting your time like this. Think about it yourself. What have you been doing for an entire year? What did you do?" Yun Shen was slightly stunned. This year, he clearly did not do anything, but he felt that this was the only year that he was truly alive. "I'm pulling you out of the quagmire." Qiao Yi sounded exasperated. Yinshen chuckled. "Aren't you afraid that I'll change sides and help Lu Tingxiao like last time and ruin your plan? How dare you?" Qiao Yi was furious when Yinshen saw through him. Yinshen raised his eyebrows. "Uncle Qiao's backer this time is so powerful. What difference does it make whether I dare or not? It's good that you know. No matter what, the Lu family must die this time. If you join forces with me, I can pretend that nothing happened before." Chapter 1978. Qiao Yi's tone softened and he said in a bewitching tone, "If you really like that woman, it's not a big deal. When the Lu family is finished, you can just snatch her over." A Yi, see the guest out. Yinshen seemed to have lost his patience and said coldly, "You." Qiao Yi frowned when he saw that the other party was still unwilling to relent. "Ah Shen, I don't have that much time to waste on you. Now I'll give you 2 choices. First, stand with me and we'll still be a family. Otherwise, we'll be enemies in the future. Cloud Deep smiled. I thought we were already enemies a long time ago. You. Good. Xiaoyi stood up immediately and said good 3 times. Since you want to go against me and Europe, then don't blame Uncle Qiao. Xiaoyi stood up and turned to leave without saying anything more to Yinshin. Tang Yi accepted the order and escorted him out of the room. Xiaoyi glanced at Tang Yi and said in a low voice, Yi, try to persuade him when you have the time. Everything I'm doing is for his own good. Otherwise, I won't be able to protect him when the European king takes over all the forces in Asia. Tang Yi didn't say anything. He was stuck between Yinshin and Xiaoyi and was in a difficult position. Who would have thought that? Not only did Master escape back then, but he had also made contact with the European Emperor's forces over the past year. As far as he knew, even if the organization was at its peak, it would be impossible for them to climb up to the forces over there. This matter seemed to be full of mysteries. Who was the one who saved Master back then? How did he manage to team up with Lucky Emperor? The economic crisis in Cathay this time was actually related to Master. Although his master didn't have the ability to do so, if Luck Emperor was involved, not to mention China, even the entire Asian economic chain would be destroyed. Almost as soon as Qiaoyi left, another person came to visit. Tang Yi was slightly surprised to see the newcomer. Lu Tingxiao. Ever since Ningxi fell into a coma, although Yinshin and Lu Tingxiao had never interacted or met each other, they seemed to have a tacit understanding, and the forces of the two sides maintained a delicate balance. Lu Tingxiao's visit tonight probably had something to do with Lucky Queen. Due to the sudden invasion of the European king's forces, the balance of power was now in jeopardy. Whether it was the Lu family or their side, it was inevitable that they would be affected. When the nest is overturned, no eggs remain intact. Just like what Master had said, Europe King was determined to get his hands on the forces in Asia. If they didn't cooperate with Europe King, after Europe King got rid of the Lu family, they would be the first to be dealt with. Tang Yi withdrew his thoughts, informed Yinshin, and brought the man upstairs. Inside the house, seeing who it was, Yinshin put his legs on the coffee table, tilted his head and said faintly, There are so many distinguished guests tonight, take a seat. Lu Tingxiao sat on the single sofa opposite the white-haired man. Without saying a word, he went straight to the point and said, Cooperation. Cloud Depths chuckled. I say, my dear big brother, your way of persuading people is really special. Do you know? Just now my uncle told me that if the Lu family is finished, then... Before Yinshin finished speaking, Lu Tingxiao already knew what Xiaoyi's character would say. His calm eyes suddenly flashed with a sharp light. Yinshin's eyes also instantly turned cold, and he suddenly said, Actually, you also want to kill me, right? Just like how he wanted to kill him too. Chapter 1979. He had been thinking about her all the time. But because of that heartless little girl, he forced himself to suppress this thought. Even he was surprised that he could endure it so well. Of course, the guy opposite him seemed to be on par with him. You turned down Xiaoyi, Lu Tingxiao said with certainty. It seemed that he had not only expected that Xiaoyi had come to him, but also that he had turned him down. Yinshin snorted. I turned him down, but does that mean I have to accept you? Brother, your logic is worrying. You know very well what the truth was back then, Lu Tingxiao suddenly said. Yinshin's pupils shrank. Well, so what? Everyone who did that back then should die, including the Lu family. When this is over, I will leave Lu Enterprises. Lu Tingxiao continued. How could he let go of the huge Lu Enterprises so easily? Yinshin narrowed his eyes and sneered. How about we swap? You want the Lu family and I want Tangxi. How about we swap? You want the Lu family, and I want Tangxi. What do you think? Lu Tingxiao's face turned cold. She is not a commodity. After saying this, Lu Tingxiao got up and left. Behind him, the indifference on Yinshin's face suddenly turned into numbness and emptiness. Tut, boring. Half a month later, Ningxi and Jiang Mai returned to China. The shooting in Europe went very smoothly. The other actors in the crew had doubts about Ningxi, But they all shut up after Ningxi played the role of Anna perfectly. Although Hollywood was hostile to the Chinese, they still respected those who were really capable. Even Lillian's relationship with Ningxi had eased up a lot. In Europe, the media even reported that Ningxi and Lillian went shopping side by side and stayed in the same hotel. As soon as Ningxi got off the plane, her phone rang. "Hello honey, have you arrived?" A sweet voice came from the other end of the phone. "Yes Lillian, I just got off the plane," Ningxi said. "Oh, honey. Do you know I just finished watching your Under the Heavens? Your acting as Meng Chang'e was amazing. If it were in Hollywood, it would at least be an Oscar." Lillian's excited voice came from the other side of the phone. Ningxi could even hear some of Meng Chang'e's classic lines on the phone. "Lillian, you're exaggerating." Ningxi laughed helplessly. "Well, my dear, I'm relieved that you've returned safely. Be sure to call me when you're free." "Don't worry, I will," Ningxi said with a smile. In the past half a month in Europe, she and Lillian had the most scenes. As a result, after spending time with each other day and night, the two of them had unknowingly become best friends who could talk about anything. Ningxi hung up the phone and walked out of the airport. He was eager to return home. Not long after, she would fly to another country to continue filming. Taking advantage of this rest period, she hurriedly spent time with her sweetheart and baby Xiao Bao. Thinking of something, Ningxi's eyes flashed with a trace of worry. Recently, she had been filming abroad in a closed-door manner. She had just found out that during this period of time, the domestic economy had undergone a huge upheaval, and Lu Group had been affected the most. He wondered how Lu Tingxiao was doing. Ningxi got into the car and was rushing to Deertown when her phone suddenly rang. The caller ID showed Han Xiao. Chapter 1980. Ningxi wasn't as surprised by the second call from the Almighty. She just raised her eyebrows and wondered if he was asking her to pay the bill again. "Little girl, great God, which KFC are you at?" "I'll pay the bill right away," Ningxi said cleverly. "You don't have to pay the bill," Han Xiao said. "So nice this time?" Ningxi was surprised. "Then why are you looking for me?" "Take my white tiger away," Han Xiao said. Ha. What did you say?" "This guy eats half a year's worth of my food allowance every day. I can't even afford to eat KFC for the past few days. I can only get a chicken drumstick, and I can't even drink milk tea." Han Xiao sighed, full of resentment. The capital wasn't like the forest. It was too difficult to feed a white tiger. This was especially true for Han Xiao, who couldn't even afford to feed himself, let alone feed the white tiger. She realized that although the Almighty was powerful, his ability to take care of himself was negligible. How did he survive until now? "Ningxi. So what do you mean?" "Feed it for me for a few days," Han Xiao said without hesitation. Ningxi didn't want to say anything. The first time he asked her to pay the bill, the second time he asked her to be his meal ticket, and it was for a tiger with a huge appetite. Luckily, Ningxi couldn't have asked for more. Roar. Her cute little tiger, "No problem, just send it over. I'm at the town from last time." Not long after hanging up, Han Xiao couldn't wait to send the white tiger to Deertown. Fortunately, Deertown was remote and undeveloped. Plus, it was already night time. Otherwise, the white tiger's appearance would have caused panic. Ningxi's eyes lit up when she saw the white tiger beside Han Xiao. "Almighty, what does it usually eat? Feed me whatever you want." Han Xiao yawned lazily, then waved his hand and walked away. Ningxi's mouth twitched. She sighed and rubbed the white tiger's head. "Your master is too unreliable. You should follow me from now on. I'll make sure you'll be fat and white." "Mommy." Ningxi is talking to White Tiger with her head down. Suddenly, her legs soften. A soft little ball pounces on her. Roar. "Darling little Bao. I miss you so much. Hurry up and give Mommy a kiss and a hug." Xiaobao clung to Ningxi's chest, his heart filled with joy. At this moment, he saw the white tiger beside Ningxi, and his eyes widened. "Mommy, be careful." After saying that, the little fellow quickly scuttled between Ningxi and the white tiger, and made a blocking posture. Like a tiger cub, it stared at the tiger opposite it. Ningxi was so touched that she rubbed the little guy's head. Don't worry, Xiaobao. This is Mommy's friend. He won't hurt you. Mom's friend. Yes. Hearing Ningxi's words, Xiaobao relaxed. Now that his guard was down, he looked at the big white tiger with curiosity. Come on, let's go in and play. Don't scare the other neighbors. Yes. Thus, Ningxi led Little Bun and the big white tiger into the house. Hearing the sound of the porch, Lu Tingxiao knew that Ningxi was back. He subconsciously looked in that direction. When Lu Tingxiao saw the familiar white tiger beside Ningxi, he was stunned for a moment. Han Xiao is here? Ningxi shrugged. No, that guy said he couldn't afford to keep it, so he asked me to take care of it for a few days. This master is too unreliable. Chapter 1981. Lu Tingxiao looked a little suspicious when he heard that. Judging from Han Zhao's temperament, he seemed to be a man who didn't know much about worldly affairs, but he had a feeling that this man wasn't as simple as he seemed. Everything he did seemed strange and absurd, but in fact he had his own meaning. Although he could not guess Han Zhao's intentions, he could be sure that he was a friend and not an enemy. On the other side, Ningxi and Xiaobao had already completely played with the big white tiger. The two of them fed the big white tiger mouthful by mouthful. After the white tiger was full, its snow tail swayed, and it lay on the ground with its belly open, allowing Xiaobao to rub against it. Ningxi was simply overwhelmed by its cuteness. Come and eat. Lu Tingxiao looked helplessly at the big and small pair lying on the ground. Perhaps he could consider raising a pet for them? Oh, I'm coming. Only then did Ningxi reluctantly shift her gaze away from the big white tiger. Just as she was about to go eat, the big white tiger immediately sat up straight and stared at the door with its tiger eyes. Moreover, it let out a low growl that sounded like a warning from its throat. Bang! A crisp sound was heard, and the door was smashed open. Two black-clothed, masked men in martial arts attire rushed in. Follow us! Before one of the men could finish his sentence, he suddenly saw the albino Bengal tiger beside Ningxi from the corner of his eyes. With his professional knowledge, he knew what the creature in front of him meant. This was not an ordinary white tiger in the zoo. The man was stunned for about 3 seconds. Sorry, we came to the wrong place. One of the men reacted quickly and pulled his companion to leave. However, the white tiger let out a loud roar and shot out like an arrow, blocking the door. This roar made Ningxi's whole body tremble, and her mind was in a trance. In the wild, the roar of a white tiger was enough to shake the mountains, not to mention feeling the tiger's roar at such a close distance. As for the man in black, he lost his balance under the tiger's roar and almost fell to the ground. Seeing that the white tiger did not immediately pounce on them, the two men hurriedly ran away. Soon, two of Lu Tingxiao's men rushed in panting. Boss, are you okay? The other saw the white tiger at the door and was shocked. This is. What's going on? Lu Tingxiao asked in a low voice. Someone barged into the forbidden zone, but the other party is obviously a professional mercenary. When we discovered it, they had already reached the vicinity. The subordinate's face was full of self-blame. Lu Tingxiao furrowed his brows. Deer Town was a residential area, after all, so it was impossible for him to secure it too tightly. Moreover, no matter how tight the defense was, as long as the opponent sent out people of a high level, there was a possibility that the defense could be broken. The defense around him was as good as it could be. It could be seen that the two of them were at least A. There was no need to guess who would be able to hire an A-rank mercenary. Seeing White Tiger circling Lu Tingxiao's men vigilantly, Ningxi hurriedly goes to bring White Tiger back. Baby, come back. They are not enemies. Dabai, come here. Little Treasure waved a hand at the White Tiger. Seeming to understand Ningxi and Xiaobao's words, the White Tiger swung its snow tail and walked toward Xiaobao, who was holding a piece of beef in his hand. At this moment, Ningxi looked outside the door and frowned slightly. This period of time did not seem to be peaceful. Some time ago, she had already encountered a stalker, who was finally dealt with by Han Xiao. Since I didn't blow the whistle, and I didn't beg you to save me, how can this be considered as returning the favor? Almighty, don't you think so? Ningxi said with a smile, looking even more matter-of-fact. That's right. Han Xiao subconsciously replied. Great God, I knew you were the most reasonable. Ningxi immediately praised Han Xiao to the extreme. If she could get Han Xiao to hold the fort here, why would she be afraid of the assassins? So no matter what, she had to trick the great God into coming here. Han Xiao originally wanted to argue, but he was speechless. Ningxi was absolutely right. She wasn't the one who blew the whistle, and she wasn't the one who begged him to save her. Something feels wrong. Han Xiao stared blankly at the little girl in front of him. Ningxi, I'll get someone to line up for you and buy the new set meal. I'll send it over in half an hour. Han Xiao, okay. Chapter 1983. At the same time, Tang Lang was wearing a flowery shirt and slippers. Boss, why did you call me here? Tang Lang asked as soon as he entered the room. Ningxi looked at the door. Second senior brother, you're here. I had something to do, but it's all settled now. So what's going on? Tang Lang was speechless. Did she ask him to come all the way here for fun? It hasn't been peaceful these days. There was a sneak attack by an assassin the night before yesterday. I wanted to invite you here, Ningxi explained. Assassin? Tang Lang saw Han Xiao from the corner of his eye. Tang Lang's heart skipped a beat. Fuck. Why is this guy here? Don't tell me he's the assassin. Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. I invited the Almighty to hold the fort, okay? Hearing that, Tang Lang heaved a sigh of relief. If this guy was an assassin, not many people would be able to escape. He was like a bug in the game. Since there's already someone here, why did you call me? Tang Lang was speechless. The weather was hot. He wanted to go home and eat watermelon. Kid, come and play with me. Suddenly, Han Xiao stretched his waist and hooked his finger at Tang Lang. Hearing that, Ningxi smiled flatteringly. Of course I called you here. Second senior brother, go and play with the Almighty. Fuck. Ning Xiaoxi, you're selling me out again. I won't fight. Tang Lang shook his head firmly. What a joke. He and Tang Yi couldn't even get close to that guy even if they teamed up. Fighting with him? Well kid, if you don't come, I'll go up and hammer you to death, Han Xiao said. Tang Lang looked like he wouldn't do it even if he was hammered to death. Come on if you can't, I'll fight you with one finger. Han Xiao smiled. What did you say? Suddenly, Tang Lang's eyes flashed. Fuck. This is too much. One finger. Who are you looking down on? I said, I'll fight you with one finger. Han Xiao stretched out one finger. Second senior brother, don't tell me you can't even defeat one finger of the Almighty? Ningxi sighed. What a joke. Tang Lang was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Fine, you said it, one finger. If I can't even beat you with one finger, I'll call you Grandpa. After he finished speaking, Tang Lang's figure flashed, and he instantly charged toward Han Xiao. At this moment, Han Xiao stood motionlessly in the same place. His left hand was placed behind his back, and he only extended one finger. When Tang Lang was less than half a meter away from Han Xiao, a glint flashed in Han Xiao's eyes, and he pointed his finger at the void. Whoosh! Only to hear the sound of the air being torn apart ring out from within the building. Han Xiao's finger streaked across the void, and a strong gust of wind blew past. Before the finger arrived, a terrifying finger energy had already arrived. The speed of Han Xiao's finger was extremely fast. Not only did Ningxi not see it clearly, even Tang Lang did not see it clearly. In the time it takes for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, this finger pointed at Tang Lang's abdomen with an all-powerful force. There was a bang. Before Tang Lang could figure out what had happened, he had already been knocked to the ground by Han Xiao's finger. Tang Lang's face was filled with shock and disbelief as he stared at the lazy Han Xiao in front of him. This lazy man in front of him had simply casually pointed a finger at him, and he was completely unable to block it. It was very hard to imagine that if this man used his full strength, would he be stabbed to death by a finger? Tang Lang was already very talented in the martial Dao, and he was very conceited. However, there was always someone better than him. And there was always someone better than him. Tang Lang consoled himself in his heart. He was a normal human, and he would not compare himself to this kind of monster. Chapter 1984. I lost. Tang Lang sighed. How could a human defeat a monster? Sigh, how boring. Let's have another round. Han Xiao hooked his finger at Tang Lang again. In an instant, Tang Lang stood up and cupped his fists towards Han Xiao. Grandpa, not again. It seemed that Han Xiao also felt bored. His gaze fell on Ningxi. Are you coming? Ningxi immediately shook her head like a rattle. Great God, as you said, I am just a weak little chick. Please ignore me. All right. Han Xiao sat back on the sofa, turned on the TV, and began watching cartoons. Yes, cartoons. When Lu Tingxiao came back from work, he was a little surprised to see that Han Xiao was also there. Ningxi proudly pulled Lu Tingxiao to the side and told him how she tricked Han Xiao to come over. Lu Tingxiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry after listening. Looking at the seemingly heartless man on the sofa, he thought that his guess was indeed correct. Han Xiao probably already knew what might happen, and the white tiger that day was also deliberately left behind by him. Late at night, there was a strange movement outside the flower house. The hall was very dark. Tang Lang accompanied Han Xiao to watch cartoons for the whole day, and both of them were watching with relish. Grandpa, someone is coming. Suddenly, Tang Lang's gaze turned cold, and he looked towards the door. Now this guy called him Grandpa very smoothly, without any psychological barrier. Then why aren't you going to open the door? Han Xiao said. All right. Tang Lang stood up, ran forward with small steps, and opened the door. Welcome. Looking at the men in suits outside the door, Tang Lang said with a smile. Hearing that, the killers were all stunned. The man in the lead frowned, raised his gun and shot towards Tang Lang. Tang Lang's reaction was also extremely fast. At the same time that the man raised his arm, he had already run away, dodging the shot. Grandpa, someone is not giving you face. Tang Lang shouted towards Han Xiao, who was on the sofa. As soon as his voice fell, he looked at the sofa again, and Han Xiao had already disappeared. Damn, what kind of speed is that? Tang Lang stared at Han Xiao, who was standing in front of the door, and couldn't help but shiver. Can this thing kill people? Han Xiao stood in front of the men, his eyes fixed on the pitch-black muzzle. You're courting death. A cold glint flashed across the man's eyes as he pulled the trigger at Han Xiao. Bang! The loud noise echoed in the building. What? The assassins looked at each other in dismay, only to see the lazy-looking man point a finger, actually moving the muzzle horizontally to the other side. The spear-wielding man's shot didn't kill Han Xiao. Instead, he killed one of his companions in front of him. Kids shouldn't play with guns. Look, something happened. Han Xiao shook his head. Just as Han Xiao opened his mouth, the others also pulled out their pistols. Let me have a look. Han Xiao snatched the pistol from one of the killers. Bang! Han Xiao instantly pulled the trigger and fired several shots. Every shot landed on the thighs of the assassins. A series of screams rang out in the pitch-black night. Sorry. I hit the wrong place. I'll try again. Han Xiao raised his pistol and pulled the trigger, aiming it at the heads of these people. Bang! 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 After a few gunshots, the heads of these assassins were pierced, and they died on the spot. This time I hit the right target. Han Xiao glanced at the corpses on the ground, then threw the pistol out of the door. Unsightly, clean up. Han Xiao returned to the sofa, opened a bag of chips, and watched a cartoon. All right, Grandpa, I'll listen to you. Tang Lang eagerly walked forward and pulled the few corpses out. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.